Good evening, everybody. I am Dr. Muhammad Noor, Senior Consultant for Anatomy, Embryology, and Histology. This is my English version of my lecture for non-Arabic speakers and for Polish speakers about the shoulder. The anterior shoulder muscles are coracobrachialis, pectoralis major, subscapularis, and biceps brachii. The biceps brachii, as you can see, it has a short head and long head. It's a short head and it's a long head. The short head origin from coracoid process of the scapula, and the long head originate from the supraglenoid tubercle of the scapula. Both of them they unite together and they set in the tuberosity of the radius. This is the radius. The action flexion of the elbow and shoulder and supinator of the forearm. Sometimes they say that the long head is the fifth rotator cuff. Here, this is coracobrachialis, as you can see, coracobrachialis originates from the coracoid process of the scapula, as you can see here, and inserted in anteromedial surface of mid shaft of the humerus. This is a humerus, this is a head, this is a neck, this is a medial lip, and this is a lateral lip. Action is weak, flexion, abduction of the shoulder. This is, as you can see, this is a pectoralis major. It has medial one head, clavicle head, and it has a sternocostal head. So the clavicle, as you can see, the clavicle from the medial two sides of the clavicle and inserted in the upper eight costal cartilage, and from the sternum is a sternum and it's a costal cartilage. Action, upper fibers, I mean clavicular fibers, flexion and horizontal abduction. Lower fibers, external, internal, medial rotation, and horizontal abduction. The subscapularis, as you can see, it is the largest muscle, originate from the subscapular fossa, as you can see here, the scapula, and it sits in the lesser tubercle of the humerus. It's a humerus, lesser tubercle, it's a greater tubercle, and it's a lesser tubercle, and this is the groove, intertubercle groove. Action, internal rotation, and stabilization of the shoulder joint and anterior rotator cuff muscle, one of the rotator cuff muscles. The superior shoulder muscles, deltoid and supraspinatus muscle. The deltoid muscle, as you can see here, originate from the lateral third of the clavicle. Lateral third of the clavicle is our anterior fibers, and acromion of the scapula is the medial fibers, and spine for posteriorly are posterior fibers. The spine of the scapula is located posteriorly, as you know. So I have anterior fibers, medial fibers, and posterior fibers. All of them together inserted in the deltoid tuberosity here in the humerus. Action, anterior fibers, flexion, shoulder joint, medial abduction, and posterior extension. The supraspinatus muscle is a supraspinatus muscle, originates from supraspinous fossa and inserted in the greater tubercle of the humerus. Action, abduction, actually initiate abduction of the shoulder joint, stabilization of the shoulder joint, superior rotator cuff muscle, or the most injured muscle of the rotator cuff is supraspinatus muscle. The inferior shoulder muscles are latissimus dorsi and teres major muscle. The latissimus dorsi, lat means large, dorsi means posterior. Originate from the spinous process of the lower sixth ossic